welcome back. We fucking love you. You are gorgeous babes.
Yeah.
We're so incredibly happy you were here, like sitting on the metaphorical couch with us right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Glasses are poured.
Yeah.
The vibes are highly questionable, but we are here.
Exactly. Because honestly, the Snark Squad is truly the only thing keeping us sane this week. I mean, have you ever noticed that the people who are like the most obsessed with surviving the apocalypse are the exact same people who wouldn't last a single day without their Stanley Cups?
Oh my God, yes. Or, their 3-step morning match routine. It's a sickness.
It really is. Today, we are unpacking the absolute delusion of aesthetic prepping. Because, babes, we need to talk about doomsday preppers.
It is genuinely the only thing holding my sanity together to be here today, Bestie.
Yeah.
Because my brain is it's currently malfunctioning over this exact phenomenon.
I am still reeling from this. Like our friend Tanis, who, by the way, is a stunning, thriving, absolute Gen X queen who has never once gone camping, like never.
Not once in her life, she hates bugs.
Exactly. She hates the outdoors. But she has decided, completely out of nowhere, to become a doomsday prepper. And the things I saw in her garage yesterday, I'm overwhelmed.
We have so many thoughts about this. Because, listen, I love Tanis. The Snark Squad would love Tanis. But I had to look her dead in her gorgeous, perfectly Botox face yesterday and just completely deconstruct her entire survival plan.
What did you actually say to her? Because I was trying to be polite.
I had to tell her the truth. I said, Tanis, a neatly stacked pallet of bumblebee canned tuna and, a first aid kit from Anthropology is not going to save you from the total collapse of the electrical grid.
Oh my God, you didn't.
I did. I mean, I was trying so hard to be supportive too, but my mind was doing actual gymnastics.
Right, because I'm looking at her haul and I'm like, wait, does Tanis know a global secret? Like, is the grand finale of humanity happening right now? And we're just sitting here drinking Pinot Grigio like we're on the Titanic.
That's exactly what it felt like.
But then you look closely at what she's actually buying and you realize, wait, this isn't tactical survival. This is just generalized anxiety manifesting in a really cute outfit.
100%.
Yeah.
It's anxiety retail therapy.
She bought a tactical flashlight, bestie, but she specifically ordered it in a matte sage green so it wouldn't clash with her kitchen hardware.
The sage green flashlight. I cannot. It's aesthetic prepping, which is it's a fascinating, deeply unhinged sociological shift, if you think about it.
Oh, totally.
We've moved from that rugged, underground bunker mentality to this hyper-individualistic consumer survivalism. Like, she legitimately thinks that when society collapses into a dystopian wasteland and, the supply chain disintegrates, her main priority is going to be ensuring she maintains a cohesive color palette.
While defending her perimeter, which she can't even do.
Exactly. I tried to explain the mechanics of a true societal collapse to her. Bestie, if the world ends, marauders aren't going to respect your Pinterest board.
No, they do not care about the aesthetic.
They don't. Someone is just going to steal your cute flashlight, and you simply do not have the upper body strength to defend that tuna.
I know, and honestly, I am way too romantic for the apocalypse. Like, I wouldn't even try to fight the marauders.
Oh, you just invite them in?
I really would. I'd probably just invite them onto the porch, offer them a glass of this excellent wine we're drinking, and just try to unpack their childhood trauma. Like, who hurt you that made you want to steal my sage green flashlight? Let's talk about it.
You would be a therapist of the wasteland, absolutely.
I mean, we all need a role. But seriously, this whole concept of curating the end of the world has my anxiety spiking so bad, especially after you sent me down that TikTok rabbit hole last night. I physically could not sleep.
The AI data centers? Oh, the Snark Squad needs to hear about this because it perfectly ties into this whole idea of artificial realities taking over our physical space.
Babes, it is terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I fell down this massive TikTok spiral, studying the people who live near these new monolithic AI data centers that are popping up in rural areas. And structurally, these buildings are essentially giant windowless cooling systems for millions of processors.
Just giant concrete blocks.
Right. But the side effect is that they emit this constant low-frequency humming noise, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just this vibrating, inescapable womp, womp, womp sound penetrating the walls of these people's homes.
It gives me full-body chills just imagining it. It sounds like literal vibroacoustic torture.
It really does. It's so dystopian.
But, what is actually happening inside those buildings? What on earth are they computing that requires a structure the size of a shopping mall to just vibrate ominously into the night sky?
Well, that's the most unsettling part, right? It's acoustic resonance caused by massive industrial cooling fans preventing the servers from melting down. But when you look at it philosophically, It's wild. They're crunching unfathomable amounts of data, training language models, generating synthetic images.
It's all fake.
Exactly. They're essentially rendering new artificial realities inside these boxes. And the physical toll it takes on the actual real world around them is this deafening dystopian hum.
Oh my God.
We joke about Tannis prepping for zombies, but when I hear about these humming monoliths, I just start to analyze the trajectory we are on. What is the future of humanity in 100 years?
I don't even want to know.
Are we getting biological zombies, or are we just getting AI humans slowly replacing us while we go deaf from the servers?
Oh, I am firmly convinced it's going to be AI humans. We're going to have these gorgeous, terrifying, hyper-efficient robots that don't need 8 hours of sleep, never complain about their knees aching, and never, ever send messy, emotionally unhinged text messages.
Which is tragic, because I live for the messy texts.
Me too.
Yeah.
And these robots are going to look at us with our glasses of wine and our reality TV obsession and just judge us right into extinction. Like, my brain is fully breaking.
I mean, same.
Are we even going to have physical bodies, or are we just going to be uploaded to a cloud that hums in a cornfield in Nebraska?
Honestly, if human consciousness gets uploaded to the cloud, I just pray it has a decent streaming package so I can at least watch the Bravo archives in the metaverse.
Priorities, bestie. Priorities.
Always. But you see the through line here, right? Whether it's Tannis buying cute flashlights to pretend she has control over the apocalypse, or tech companies building vibrating monoliths to simulate human thought, we are a society obsessed with curating reality.
Oh, wow.
We want the aesthetics of the experience without the actual messy truth of it.
Oh, that is such a brilliant way to put it. Curating reality, which is actually the perfect transition, because if I think about existential dread for one more second, my heart rate is going to stay elevated all night.
Let's bring it down. Let's pivot.
Yes, let's completely shift the energy to my favorite way to curate reality, which is book talk bullshit. Babes, we are about to be on our absolute book talk bullshit this weekend, and I need a total escape.
I am so ready to just safely dissociate into a fictional universe. It's much needed.
But we are currently in a massive debate about what genre to dive into, and we genuinely need the Snark Squad in the comments to weigh in on this.
We really do, because we are at an impasse.
Because my brain craves something modern, chaotic, and messy. I want a contemporary romance where the guy is just a massive walking red flag.
You love a red flag.
I do. I'm talking emotionally unavailable, questionable morals, but he has incredibly good hair and eventually performs some massive, sweeping, grand gesture.
Of course.
And the female protagonist just makes terrible, illogical decisions from chapter 1 to chapter 30. I want pure, unadulterated, toxic romance.
And this is where we divide.
Yeah.
Because I want to analyze a hyped fantasy universe.
Yeah.
I do not want modern problems. Give me dragons.
Ugh, dragons are so much work to read about, though.
No, they're the best part. Give me convoluted political intrigue in a kingdom that doesn't exist. Give me a 400-page slow burn where the two main characters don't even make eye contact until chapter 20.
That sounds like actual torture.
No, listen. They don't brush hands until chapter 40, but when they finally do, the magical tension is so high that a literal mountain explodes in the background.
Ugh, the agony of the slow burn. It's so deeply romantic in theory, but I just don't have the patience for it. Like, I need instant gratification and bad choices.
You want the messy drama right up front.
Always. But genuinely, to our listeners, drop a comment and let us know if we should start doing dedicated book talk episodes on this show. Because we read constantly, we have incredibly reckless opinions on fictional relationship dynamics, and we would love to know if you want that crossover.
Please let us know. Because the analytical side of my brain will happily deconstruct the manipulation tactics of a fictional fae prince the exact same way I deconstruct the manipulation tactics of guys on reality television.
It's a transferable skill.
It really is. It's the exact same psychological framework, just with more wings and swords.
Yeah.
Which actually brings us right to the main event.
Yes.
We are looking at toxic men in fiction. But now it's time to look at them on our screens.
Oh, absolutely. The ultimate curated reality. Babes, grab your glasses, make sure your notes are organized, because we are heading down south. It is time to tear into Southern Hospitality, Season 4, Episode 9, Sun's Out, Shades Out.
I am physically stretching my shoulders right now.
Yeah.
Because the absolute emotional whiplash of this hour of television, I mean, we have to unpack it chronologically. We have to start with the birthday dynamic.
We really do, because Joe's 30th birthday dramatics, like, The entire emo night saga are
Oh,
mercifully over.
family.
The man is officially 30. He played a round of golf with his boys. He had a moment of reflection where he realized he was being incredibly dramatic about the aging process, and he apologized.
Which, growth. We love a moment of self-awareness.
We really do. But almost immediately, he shifts his entire focus to planning Maddie's birthday, and this is where it all goes completely off the rails.
So far off the rails. Let's lay out the exact factual sequence of events here, because context is everything. Maddi is completely depleted. She has spent her entire weekend managing Joe's emotional instability surrounding his own birthday.
She's exhausted.
Right. She is resting in bed, wearing this meticulously coordinated tiny matching lounge set with a full face of flawless makeup, which, by the way, is a whole other level of curating reality.
Oh, she looks stunning. But she was tired.
Very tired. And she explicitly uses her words to tell Joe exactly what she needs. She states clearly that she is exhausted and wants a quiet, low-key day in bed to recover.
Okay, but this is where my romantic delusion usually kicks in, and I have to confess I initially tried to defend him.
Wait, really? You tried to defend this?
I did. Because he didn't want her to just have a boring day in bed. He called in a favor and got access to a yacht. He planned an entire pirate-themed surprise party. In my head, I'm thinking, that is a grand gesture. He is being loud and public about wanting to celebrate her.
Oh, bestie, no.
I know. But I feel like society conditions us to give guys points just for trying to pull off something massive, even if it completely misses the mark.
Friend, I am looking at you right now with nothing but love and respect, but I am entirely shutting down that narrative. I am unmasking this behavior right here and now.
Okay, clock it. Do it.
What you were describing is the romanticized version of events. The psychological reality is that this was not a grand gesture. This is textbook manipulation, completely wrapped in weaponized incompetence.
You really think it was that calculated?
Let's deconstruct the mechanism of weaponized incompetence, because it isn't just about being lazy. It is a subconscious, or sometimes highly conscious, negotiation tactic, where a person performs a task so poorly or so blatantly disregards the parameters of the request that they force the other person to absorb the cognitive load and the emotional fallout.
Oh my God.
Look at the execution here. Maddi explicitly stated her boundary, I want to rest. He disregarded that completely. He lied to her face to get her out of the house, dragging her to the marina under the false pretense of going kayaking.
The kayaking lie was so unnecessary.
Completely. And then, surprise, a yacht full of his friends screaming at her while wearing eye patches. Bestie, he did not plan a party for Maddi. He planned a second birthday party for himself, invited his own friend group, and slapped Maddi's name on the invitation so he could play the role of the ultimate generous boyfriend.
Wow. Okay, when you explain the psychology of it like that, my romantic delusion is completely shattering. Because when that crowd popped out and yelled surprise, you could literally see the light leave Maddi's eyes.
It was devastating.
She literally leaned in and whispered to him that she just wanted it to be the two of them. My heart physically ached for her in that moment. You could see her instantly masking her disappointment and trying so hard to perform the role of the cool, grateful girlfriend so she wouldn't ruin the vibe.
And that is exactly the trap. She has to perform gratitude for a gift she actively begged not to receive. And let's look at the logistical icing on this terribly big cake, the pirate costume.
Oh, don't even get me started on the costume.
He drags her to a mandatory participation-themed party, and he somehow manages to leave her carefully planned pirate costume sitting in his truck at the marina.
That was the moment I almost screamed at my television. I was so mad. She is already anxious, she is already tired, and now she is the only person on the boat not in a costume.
It's so isolating for her.
She had to literally rip down the party streamers and fashion them into a skirt just to blend in, which honestly, 10 out of 10 to Maddi for being resourceful and making it look incredibly chic. But the sheer fact that she was forced into that position, it's enraging.
It is enraging. Yeah. Let's analyze the logistical steps required to, quote-unquote, forget that costume. You have to pack it, carry it to the car, put it in the truck, get out of the truck, gather the rest of the supplies, walk down the dock, and board a boat.
He had so many chances to grab it.
Exactly. Leaving the costume behind is a profound level of strategic incompetence. It visually isolates her at her own party. And the internet sociology on this is fascinating. The Snark squad online was dissecting this with surgical precision.
Oh, what were they saying?
A user named Janet Snarkle pointed out something brilliant. She said, "This further proves that Joe is in love with the thought of Maddi, not with Maddi's true self."
Oh, wow. That hits hard.
And that is the crux of the issue. If he actually saw her, He would know this environment is her personal hell.
That commenter is absolutely spot on. He is dating an avatar of Maddi that exists only in his head. And another user made a point that made my chest tight with secondhand anxiety.
What did they say?
They said, imagine waking up anxious that day, wanting to recover, and then you're surprised with a booze cruise full of heavily drinking people, and you are totally sober. That is an actual, literal nightmare.
It's pure sensory overload. And then, unlikely candidate 1 posed the ultimate question on a Reddit thread, asking if Joe Bradley is the literal personification of weaponized incompetence. And the consensus is overwhelmingly yes.
Oh, without a doubt.
He relies so heavily on the golden retriever boyfriend trope. He plays dumb, he acts completely baffled when things go wrong, and he uses his boyish charm to deflect accountability.
It is so deeply exhausting. Like, have you ever been in a dynamic like that where you are dealing with a guy who is widely considered a quote-unquote good guy at his core, but he consistently, routinely fails at the most basic tasks you ask of him?
Unfortunately, yes. We all have.
And the worst part is the psychological trap you mentioned earlier. You can't even express your valid anger because he looks at you with these devastated puppy dog eyes and says, but I had such good intentions. I just wanted to see you smile.
Yes. And suddenly the script is completely flipped. Suddenly you are the villain for being ungrateful, and he is the victim whose grand romantic efforts were rejected.
It makes you feel insane.
It does. You feel an immense amount of guilt contemplating leaving the relationship because, well, he tries so hard. But you fail to realize that his version of trying is actively draining your life force. It's a localized energy vampire situation.
It's so brutally real. Seeing comments online saying Maddi is settling really breaks my heart because she is a powerhouse. Like, I want epic, attentive, listening to your actual needs love for her. I don't want a love that forces her to make a skirt out of crepe paper while her boyfriend takes tequila shots on a rented boat.
Precisely. He owes her a massive, untelevised apology. But incredibly, the pirate ship of weaponized incompetence wasn't even the most exhausting psychological display in the episode. We have to pivot to the absolute digital terrorism that occurred on Michael's phone.
Oh my God, the AI-length text messages from Emmy. I physically recoiled into my sofa. My chest got tight just looking at the screen when they flashed those texts.
Same here. It was visceral. Let's provide the context for the listeners. Emmy is currently overwhelmed by her ongoing feud with Brad. But instead of processing her emotions internally or, having an adult face-to-face conversation, she decides to spam Michols.
Spam is the word.
The show actually threw up a graphic showing the texts, calling them ChatGPT-style messages, which is hilarious but terrifying. She sends in these massive, unbroken walls of text claiming she's feeling gaslit, unsupported, and entirely invalidated by him.
There is an actual biological response to receiving a wall of text from a friend. When you look at your phone and see those blue bubbles just forming massive paragraphs without a single page break, your cortisol levels instantly spike.
Oh, absolutely. Fight or flight kicks in.
You're just scrolling and scrolling, absorbing all of this frantic energy. It is a complete disruption of your peace. And poor Michols is just so visibly exhausted by it.
As he absolutely should be. If we deconstruct Michols' position here, he has been incredibly patient. He explicitly notes that he has held her hand, he has dried her tears, he has calmed her nervous system repeatedly over this issue.
He's been such a good friend.
He really has, but he has drawn a very clear, very healthy boundary. He absolutely refuses to defend her use of microaggressive language toward Brad, a person of color.
And Emmy's cognitive dissonance is so strong, she simply cannot compute this boundary. She's sitting on the boat with Maddi, complaining that things feel awkward with Michols and playing the victim.
Because of course she is.
Babes, you sent the man a digital novel of grievances. Of course the energy is awkward. But Maddi, we need to pause and give Maddi her flowers for a second because she was dropping pure wisdom in that scene.
Please. She delivered what might be the thesis statement of the entire season.
She looked right at Emmy and said, loyalty is important, but blind loyalty is bullshit. I want that embroidered on a pillow. I want it on a billboard.
It's so good.
Because it is the most grounded take on friendship I've heard on reality TV in years. You can fiercely love your friends, but you are under no obligation to blindly co-sign their behavior when they are fundamentally, objectively wrong.
It's a crucial distinction. Let's really analyze Emmy's behavior in this dynamic because we have to unmask what's happening with these white girl tears. It is a highly specific, very well-documented sociological tactic.
Break it down for us.
Whether she realizes she's doing it or not, she is taking a situation where she caused harm with microaggressions, and she is entirely centering her own emotional discomfort. She's demanding blind loyalty from Michols, who is himself a man of color, expecting him to completely invalidate his own lived experience to support her fabricated reality where she is the ultimate victim.
The fans online were absolutely dissecting this. They were calling her texting style Adderall-coded, which, for anyone who isn't chronically online, basically means this hyper-fixated, frantic, disorganized burst of energy where you completely lose your social filter and just dump every thought into a text thread.
It's a very specific vibe.
It really is. They were calling her lack of self-awareness downright dangerous. And this actually brings up a piece of internet sleuthing that we have to talk about because it adds such a fascinating layer to how the audience is interpreting this entire feud.
We do need to address this. And to be perfectly clear to our Snark Squad listeners, we are discussing this purely as a study in internet sociology. It's fascinating how online communities build psychological profiles of reality stars using digital breadcrumbs. We are not taking a political stance or endorsing any views. We are just reporting on how the internet is connecting the dots.
Exactly. Completely neutral here. So Reddit users, specifically a user named The Purple Lamb, did a deep dive into Emmy's social media following and confirmed that she follows Donald Trump on Instagram.
Which sent the internet into a tailspin.
Right. Regardless of anyone's personal politics, the internet is using that specific data point as a lens to analyze her worldview on the show. They were using it to explain why she might possess such a massive blind spot when it comes to understanding Michael's and Brad's perspectives on race and microaggressions.
Right, it's the context the audience is using to dissect the power dynamics at play. They see it as a symptom of a larger inability to decenter herself.
Yeah.
And you see that exact dynamic completely fracture when they get to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
That pre-dinner confrontation at the table, it was incredibly heavy to watch Michols go through that.
It was heartbreaking. They're sitting at this gorgeous table in Punta Cana, and Michols is genuinely trying to be a compassionate friend. He uses this incredibly gentle tone, trying to explain to her that she will simply never understand what it is like to walk through the world in his skin, or Mia's, or Lake's, or Brad's.
He's being so calm.
He is. He is practically begging her, for the sake of their friendship, to just drop the defensiveness and listen.
But trying to explain the nuances of systemic microaggressions to Emmy is like trying to explain a smartphone to a Victorian ghost. She just does not possess the operating system required to process the information.
A Victorian ghost, that is so accurate.
It's true. And what does she do in response to his vulnerability? She doubles down. She flatly refuses to abandon her narrative that Brad stalked and threatened her. You can literally watch Michael's spirit breaking at that table.
You really can.
He is on the verge of tears from the sheer, crushing frustration of realizing he is trying to reason with an impenetrable wall of privilege that demands constant apologies.
It is the definition of an exhausting friendship. And coming out of that incredibly heavy, toxic energy, we desperately needed a palate cleanser. And the reality TV producers, in their infinite wisdom, delivered exactly what we needed. They gave us the return of the absolute queen of curating her own reality.
Grace Lilly.
Grace Lilly is back on our screens, babes. And I actually got unexpectedly emotional during her scene.
Surprisingly.
Right. She meets up with Leva at Zach's Steaks during the day. And Grace is so open, revealing that she was in a really dark place previously, but she's been going to therapy, doing the work, and she's officially 1 month sober.
Which is genuinely commendable. Stepping away from a toxic environment to focus on sobriety is a massive achievement. Good for her.
It is beautiful. I love how vulnerable she is. But then, almost in the exact same breath, with this absolute, unwavering, breathtaking delusion, she looks at Leva and says she wants her old job at Republic back.
I gasped.
She says she misses the social aspect. She misses Joe and Maddi, and she just assumes Leva is going to unlock the doors, hand her a sparkler, and welcome her back to the chaotic VIP section.
The sheer audacity of it is almost inspiring. We have to remember the context here. She was fired for being chronically unreliable, abandoning shifts, and getting into screaming, unprofessional matches at the club over a guy.
It was so messy.
And she strolls in with 30 days of sobriety under her belt with the energy of a conquering hero ready to reclaim her throne.
But Leva, oh my God, we need to study Leva's response because the way she handled that interaction was pure art.
Leva just delivered a collegiate-level masterclass in human resources and negotiation. She should be teaching corporate seminars. Let's break down her verbal judo, because it was a brilliant deployment of what I call the iron fist in a velvet glove.
She was so incredibly gentle. She validated Grace, told her she was a magical force, and then just executed this flawless pivot.
It's the ultimate Southern politeness tactic. Leva used this incredibly soft, nurturing, maternal tone to basically deliver a hard, absolutely fucking not, to the idea of Grace returning to VIP bottle service.
It was so smooth, Grace barely noticed she was being rejected.
Exactly. But instead of framing it as a rejection based on Grace's past terrible performance, she framed it entirely around protecting Grace's newfound sobriety. She used the yes and method. Yes, I love you, and the club scene is just too triggering for your healing journey right now.
Which, to be fair, is entirely true.
It is true, but it is also highly convenient and incredibly protective of Leva's business liability.
Oh, she was definitely covering her own bases, too.
By doing this, Leva protects the Republic brand from Grace's potential relapse chaos. She protects Grace from a genuinely dangerous environment, and then she offers a concession to keep Grace in the fold. She pitches her daytime events.
The Grace experience.
Yes. She tells Grace she can do tarot card readings at the day club, and she literally brands it the Grace experience.
Yeah.
She handed her a perfectly curated, low-stakes, daytime side quest.
I am obsessed with the Grace experience. It is such a brilliant concept. Let Grace read tarot cards and talk about crystal energy at a daiquiri bar at 2 in the afternoon.
It's perfect for her.
The lighting is better, the vibe is aesthetic, it perfectly aligns with her curated healing journey, and it keeps her away from the 2 a.m. tequila drama. Leva identified the problem, neutralized the threat, and created a new revenue stream in 5 minutes. She truly clocked in.
She is a savant at club management. But speaking of clocking in, we have to transition to the main event of the episode, the cast trip. Punta Cana, Dominican Republic.
The DR, this is huge because it's Maddi's first major international DJ gig. And Maddi is not playing around. She is fully locked into professional mode.
She's taking it so seriously.
The resort gives them these sprawling luxury suites with private plunge pools. And what is the very first thing Maddi does? She immediately intervenes in the rooming situation to physically separate Lake and Mia, so there is zero chance of a screaming match ruining the vibe before her set.
It was a highly necessary tactical maneuver because right now, Lake is operating as a walking sociological experiment in hypocrisy.
Oh my God, the hypocrisy with Lake right now is staggering. So for the past few episodes, Lake has been furious, literally icing people out and making every room tense at Mia and Molly over the concept of dating overlaps.
She's been so self-righteous.
She has appointed herself the supreme morality police of the King Street friend group. But then they are in the DR, Mia and Justin are having a quiet conversation, and the actual tea is finally spilled.
The rumor comes out that Lake went home with Oysen, who, let's not forget, has a very public girlfriend, for a threesome after Joe's emo night birthday party.
My jaw actually unhinged. I was reeling. How on earth are you going to aggressively police other women's dating lives? Ice your friends out and act like a judgmental mean girl when you are allegedly the third party in a cheating scenario with your coworker.
That's wild.
The math is not mathing.
It's a textbook case of psychological projection. I am deconstructing Lake's entire persona right now. She masks her own messy, chaotic choices behind this veneer of fake, aggressive toughness.
Oh, she tries so hard to act tough.
People who are harboring secret guilt often become the most indignant moralizers in the room. They point the finger so aggressively at everyone else so that nobody thinks to look in their own backyard. And the internet saw right through it.
I bet they did.
A user named Katie Forthoftine analyzed it perfectly, saying, Lake gets a little coke in her system and acts all tough to hide her insecurities. That's why I can't stand her. And then Brittenham0320 cut right to the chase. Lake, you are projecting. You're actually the mean girl.
The fans were dissecting her with zero mercy. It's just so visibly hypocritical. You cannot be furious at Mia for simply going on a date with Justin, who wasn't even Jordan's actual boyfriend, while you are allegedly out here participating in threesomes with taken men. It is way too sloppy.
It is incredibly sloppy. But amid all of that dark, hypocritical mess, we actually got a really fascinating pivot from someone I usually expect to be the center of the chaos. Let's analyze Justin entering his soft era.
Babes, I was swooning. I couldn't handle it. Think about the setup here. Justin is technically a young, single guy on a tropical vacation, surrounded by private pools, endless bottle service, and beautiful women.
A dangerous combination for him, usually.
Historically, this is the exact environment where he runs entirely wild. But instead, he spends almost all of his free time just, quietly chatting up Charley. They are sitting in the shade, having actual conversations, just vibing and laughing.
Is very out of character.
It is such a massive romantic shift. He genuinely seems like he is catching real feelings for her.
I will concede that it's a very cute dynamic. But the analytical side of my brain is throwing a yellow caution flag on the play. Because let's be real, it is incredibly easy to be in your romantic, attentive, soft era when you are sitting in a luxury suite in Punta Cana with zero responsibilities.
Wait, don't ruin this for me.
I have to ask the sociological question. Will this behavior survive the stress test? Will this romantic energy last once they get back to the grimy, high-stress reality of working shifts on King Street in Charleston? Or is this purely a curated vacation chemistry?
Please do not ruin my romantic delusion. I want them to be in love. I want the trope where the chaotic party boy is entirely reformed by the sweet, grounded girl. Let me have my book talk moment in real life.
We will see how the King Street reality treats them. But friend, that brings us to the end of the narrative recap, which means it is officially time to pivot into our rapid-fire segments. We need to officially judge the sociology of these people. Let's start with our first segment, hospitality or hostility.
Yes. This is where we break down the specific social interactions of the week. Who was genuinely curating a welcoming environment, and who was actively weaponizing their presence?
I will start with the most obvious ruling. Maddi gets a gold star for hospitality. We have to look at what she endured. She was handed a chaotic, drunken pirate ship that she actively did not want, and she swallowed her anxiety, fashioned the costume out of trash, and smiled through it to protect Joe's ego.
She's a saint.
Then she flies to the DR, manages the complex rooming matrix to keep the peace, and literally executes her professional job while standing inside a swimming pool. She was the emotional anchor of the episode.
Absolutely. Maddi radiated hospitality, but Emmy, she is getting a massive rating for hostility.
100% hostile.
She hijacked a stunning, once-in-a-lifetime tropical vacation with her unyielding need to force Michols into validating her alternate reality. She couldn't just eat her complimentary tacos, sit by the pool, and enjoy the DR.
She had to ruin it.
She had to corner a man right before dinner, fully aware that it would ruin the group's vibe, simply because her ego demands blind loyalty. That is deeply hostile energy.
Speaking of hostile energy, Lake gets a massive hostility rating from me as well, getting visibly angry and starting a fight because Mia didn't call ahead to secure a VIP table at a club. Really, that is a massive power trip.
So unnecessary.
You work at a club, Lake. It is not your personal living room. You accommodate the guests. You don't scold them for not navigating your invisible hierarchy. That fake toughness is inherently hostile.
Completely agree. Okay, moving on to my absolute favorite segment, tip jar energy. We are assigning monetary tips based purely on the behavioral economics of this episode, and I am feeling incredibly shady today.
Let the shade flow. I'll kick it off. Joe Bradley. I am leaving a tip of negative $500.
Minus 500. The math checks out.
He owes Maddi financial compensation for the emotional labor required to survive that pirate cruise. I am taking $500 directly out of his pocket and depositing it straight into Maddi's therapy fund.
It is the only fair redistribution of wealth. Okay, Emmy. I am tipping Emmy exactly one single tarnished penny.
The ultimate devastating server shade.
Anyone who has worked in the industry knows that leaving a single penny on the table is infinitely worse than leaving nothing at all.
Oh, it sends a clear message.
Leaving nothing could mean you forgot. Leaving a penny is a deliberate message that says, I didn't forget you, I just think your service was actively terrible. Sending an unhinged, AI-generated wall of text to a friend who has done nothing but support you, that is pure penny behavior.
It truly is. Now, for Michols. I am giving Michols a $1,000 tick in cash. Because maintaining your emotional boundaries, regulating your nervous system, and trying to explain the complexities of racial microaggressions to a literal brick wall of privilege deserves severe hazard pay. He earned every single cent of that grand at that dinner table.
He deserves a grant. And finally, our girl, Grace Lilly. I am leaving her a crisp, clean $50 bill. It's a solid, supportive tip for the sweet, sober delusion. Keep going to therapy, babes. Buy yourself an overpriced iced matcha and read those daytime tarot cards. We support the healing journey.
Perfect allocation of funds. Which leads us seamlessly into segment 3, clock in or black out. Who actually showed up to do the work and who let their ego completely take over. There is no middle ground.
Well, Maddi absolutely clocked in. Like you mentioned, she literally DJ'd a massive international set while standing knee-deep in a pool. The focus, the sheer professionalism. She came to work and elevated the brand.
Leva also fully clocked in. Handling Grace's chaotic return with those psychological HR kid gloves, Masterful. She protected her corporate brand,
Huh.
avoided a lawsuit, and gently redirected a former employee into a safer environment, all within a 10-minute sit-down over Dicurus. She is clocked all the way in.
But Joe blacked out. Mentally, logistically, and emotionally. He forgot the costume, he ignored the explicit instructions of his partner, and he planned a party entirely for himself. The lights are on, but nobody is managing the store. Blacked out.
And Lake definitely blacked out. The absolute hypocrisy of attempting to police Mia's dating life while the Oisin threesome rumors are actively swirling around your own head. You are no longer operating in reality, Lake. You are blacked out on your own unearned ego.
Seriously. Delusion at its finest. Okay, babes, it is time for our final segment, the Snark Squad's absolute favorite, service industry secrets. This is where we put on our tinfoil hats, dive into the sociology of reality television, and theorize about how production is manipulating the reality we see on screen.
I have a massive, very specific theory about the logistics of that pirate costume.
Oh, I need to hear this. Deconstruct it.
Do you really, truly believe that Joe Bradley just organically forgot Maddi's pirate costume in his truck? Or is it far more likely that a field producer looked at the situation, saw the costume sitting there, realized Maddi was already miserable about the yacht, and quietly suggested, hey, Joe, let's just leave that bag in the truck. It'll be fine.
Wait, my mind is blown. You are so right.
Because from a television production standpoint, having Maddi stand there in a normal chic outfit while everyone else is screaming in full eye patch cosplay is comedic gold. Production deliberately isolated her visually to heighten her misery and emphasize the disconnect between her and Joe.
The producers absolutely orchestrated that costume fail. It creates the perfect visual metaphor for their relationship that is so dark and so brilliant. My theory is actually about Emmy. I genuinely believe that field producers are actively encouraging her relentless, exhausting focus on the Brad drama.
It makes perfect sense.
Why? Because if you zoom out, Emmy has absolutely no other storyline right now. Without Brad, what is Emmy actually doing on this show? She has no other conflict, so production is whispering in her ear saying, hey, go corner Michols about it again before dinner.
That is industry fact right there. It is the first rule of unscripted television. If a cast member doesn't have a fresh storyline, you force them to recycle the old one until it bursts into flames.
Yeah.
And I have one more theory, specifically regarding our HR queen, Leva. I do not think for 1 second it was a coincidence that she scheduled Grace's return meeting at a daytime daiquiri bar.
Really? Why do you think that?
It is all about the lighting and the environment. Think about the psychology of the setting. If they meet at Republic at night, it's dark, there are neon lights, the music is thumping, it looks and feels like a chaotic club. By scheduling the meeting at 2 p.m. at Zach's Steaks, the natural sunlight is pouring in there in casual clothes.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Leva deliberately chose an environment that visually matched Grace's healing journey aesthetic. She set the stage so that when she pitched the daytime tarot reading gig, it felt like a natural, organic progression rather than a demotion. Leva essentially produced and directed that entire scene before the cameras even rolled.
Leva is the ultimate puppet master. I love it so much. Babes, we have unpacked an incredible amount of psychology today. The insidious nature of weaponized incompetence, the physiological anxiety of AI-generated text walls, the beautiful delusion of fresh sobriety, and the staggering hypocrisy of King Street. It has been an absolute journey.
A truly exhausting, spectacular journey into how people curate their lives. But before we log off and leave you to navigate your own reality today, I want to leave the Snark Squad with one final, messy, provocative thought to ponder over your next glass of wine.
Ooh, lay it on us. Give us the final spiral.
If Leva is successfully and quietly keeping Grace Lilly relegated to daytime tarot card readings in order to protect Republic's premium, high-end nighttime vibe, who is the next cast member who is going to get gently, psychologically HR pushed out of the night shift? Because my analytical eyes are firmly fixed on Joe and Lake. If you bring too much unmanageable chaos to the VIP section, Leva will absolutely put you on the day shift. Who is next on the chopping block?
Oh my God, I am taking that question to the grave with me. I will be analyzing their every move all week. Joe better watch his back because the day shift is coming for him. Babes, we have to wrap up the chaos. Thank you so gorgeous much for hanging out and surviving this session with us. You are the absolute best community on the internet.
We truly love you guys. Please remind us how much you love us by sharing this show with your messiest, most reality-obsessed friend, hitting subscribe, and sending in your own chaotic stories and theories for us to analyze in the future.
We want all the theories and all the tea. Stay chaotic, stay curious, and we will see you on the Snark side.